Hey guys, this is John, and I'm playing Rajuppi in the 15-minute pool on ICC. Let's play a Sicilian against him. He plays knight c3. Let's play this a6 move again. This fits in well with the con repertoire, and I really like this idea of a swift b5. So we've played this successfully before. Let's see if we can keep this going. So knight f3. Do I play bishop b7 right away, or do I play b4? Open to debate. I'll play bishop b7 first. And probably b4 will be coming at some point soon, but for now, we'll just threaten b4. Let's check Rajuppi's stats. He's from India, and he has a peak rating of 1969. Only 30 games played. Way more games than other time controls. He's got 27,000 one-minute games and about 7,000 five-minute games. So perhaps he hasn't played much standard. Okay, so d3, and then here I could play either e6 or g6. I think both approaches have merit. I'm going to play e6, because if g6, I was just wondering how I would respond to bishop e3, attacking the c5 pawn. I like that e6 remains defending this pawn. And I don't know that I want to fianchetto necessarily. I kind of like the plan of just an early d5 push. That fits in nicely with having a bishop on b7 already. So that's what I'll go for. I played a game in this line that went g3, b4, knight e2, and then d5, and it turned out well for me. The move order was a little bit different, but that was the gist of it. As soon as white tried to fianchetto, I immediately struck with that central breakthrough, and I gained good counterplay. Hard to say what he should do right now. Plays g4, wow. Interestingly, I faced a similar move in a blitz game against this international master, Denis Kodrich. That's blitz chess number 300, I believe, published a few days ago. And this was a successful space grab in that game. But here I think b4, knight e2, d5 is a good reaction. Yeah, so let's play b4. I think this is useful in almost any case. I mean, other pawn breaks come to mind too, like h5 or f5. f5 would be pretty radical, wouldn't it? Not sure I want to go for f5 and touch the f pawn. I think d5 is just straightforward and strong. If d5 and then he plays e5, maybe then I play h5, trying to undermine. That's not half bad. Huh. Yeah, let's do that. Could also play e5, d4. Just gain scope for my light square bishop. We'll see. We'll see what he plays right here, and then decide if I want to play h5 or not. So e5, h5. It's nice because he can't play h3. I just take on g4, and he'd be pinned along the h file. So h5 would likely be met by the capture. G takes h5. And then I'm just a little unsure if I have the time to do like rook takes, maybe knight g3, rook back to h8, like f5. He comes at me pretty fast on the king side. So that gives me a bit of pause. But otherwise, h5 is fundamentally sound. I'm trying to like destroy this pawn chain and also carve out a nice niche for my knight on f5 is the idea. Okay, so now he puts us to the test. Do we play this? h5, take, rook takes. Let's assume knight g3. Rook back to h8, f5. I don't have to panic yet. I mean, maybe just knight c6. Queen d7, I can even castle long. My king is, in fact, looking pretty safe on the queen side if it goes that way. Yeah, let's do it. I like the fundamental nature of this move. Disrupting his pawn chain. He's made a lot of pawn moves already, so that kind of vindicates my decision a little bit, I believe. Now, g5 would be a strategic inaccuracy, I think. If he plays g5, the whole king side is closed. And he's already showed that he wants to push on that wing, so I think that would be a clear error. But he may decide to do it. No, he decides to take instead. Okay, so my line runs rook takes, knight g3, rook back to h8, and if f5, just knight c6. If he takes on e6, I take, let's say, knight g5. That would hit this pawn, but I think just queen d7 is fine. I'm ready to bail with my king. Also, e5 is weak for him. Yeah, let's do it. I could try not taking this pawn on h5, but this is clearly the way forward. I couldn't go to h4, couldn't go to h3. h6 would have ran into f5 with the bishop sitting on c1. h7 didn't make any sense because of knight g5, so by process of elimination, rook h8 has to be the move. And the reason why I looked at f5, by the way, is because that's like the most extreme attacking move I can see here. I mean, it's possible he's going to do something completely different, but f5 would be an aggressive follow-up. Yeah, and I think knight c6 is a good reply. Maybe he should go queenside too. Like, he might want to play, for instance, f5, knight c6, bishop f4, having in mind like queen d2 and castling long. That is definitely playable. He might also want to play h4 and try to develop the bishop through h3, which could lend more support to an eventual f5 break. In turn, I might want to look at playing d4 sometime soon. I'd also like to make my minor pieces on the king side relevant. That h4 plan is a little concerning. It does weaken his knight on g3, though, so that is a drawback. For now, I'm just happy to be up a little bit of time. That's an unusual occurrence in my 15-minute games. Yeah, and judging by his ratings and some of these faster time controls, they're a little bit lower than his 15-minute rating. Not much. He's a 5-minute rating of 1843. His 1-minute rating is 1760. So it's almost negligible. But I know that my skill advantage will be perhaps more appreciable when he gets shorter on time. He does play f5. Okay. Knight c6 as planned. Seems like a good idea. d4 is playable too. That kind of nails his knight to f3, but somehow I feel d4 is premature. Knight c6 blocks my bishop, though. That's the only thing I don't like about that move. You know, I'm okay with that. I think this will just be temporary. I want to clear pieces out so I can castle queenside. I could play knight d7, but I kind of like keeping d7 open for my queen to jump into if he gets frisky with like this knight g5 plan. Knight d7 might have been just as good as knight c6, but I'm okay with this choice. Basically, I don't think d4 is going to lead to anything huge for me, like any immediate gigantic threat that he'll be unable to respond to. So I prefer just completing my development now. Looking to catch up. If I were him, I would seriously consider bishop f4 now. If bishop f4, I'll probably play queen d7, attacking the pawn on f5. Let's say he takes on e6, I take back. Maybe queen d2. Maybe I can play knight e7, looking to get the knight into g6 at that point. And that possibility, knight e7 to g6, once these pawns have been liquidated, that might be a reason for him to play h4, h5, to be quite honest. I could play knight e7 right now if I want to crank up the pressure. How would that work? So knight e7, f takes e6, f takes e6, knight g5, queen d7. Maybe queen g4 then. Hmm. Okay, let's just play queen d7. I'll pre-move this capture. Very likely he plays it. Assuming f takes e6, f takes e6, h4, knight e7, h5. Let's say castle queenside, bishop h3. Maybe knight f5 then. Knight takes f5, e takes f5. He has a protected passed pawn, but he's a little behind in development. So I think that could make up for it. Yeah, he's playing exactly as how I predicted. Not often I get to predict the moves almost precisely. You know, also going through e7, like maybe I can play, let's say knight e7, h5, d4. Trying to get the knight into d5. I kind of like the look of that too. Okay, let's keep doing this though. He might play bishop h3 straight away, but if he does that, then knight g6, attacking f4 and also e5. So I think he'll play h5. I think he'll complete this idea of trying to move the pawn up the board to control g6. He does. All right, so now castle, or do I play d4 straight away? Knight f5 I think I'm going to wait on and possibly not play it at all. Let's just castle first. Is there any... Excuse me. Is there any drawback to castling? Well, he might go, let's say castles bishop h3. And then if d4, he has knight g5. He's hitting e6 already twice. That is one drawback. Whereas if I play d4 right away, then bishop h3, knight here, I'm attacking f4. Although I'm attacking f4 on the other line too. So castles, bishop h3, d4, knight g5. But I don't have time. Okay, never mind. So maybe I should play d4 right away if I decide that that's what I want to play for. It enables my knight to go to d5. It gives away the e4 square. That is one downside to it. d4, bishop h3, knight d5. Let's say bishop d2. Castle queenside, knight g5. Maybe just rook e8. This pawn on e5 would be hanging in that case. It does have queen e2 though. It's going to get messy. What about castles, bishop h3, knight f5, that idea I alluded to earlier? Nah, he can take with his bishop then, and e takes, and maybe queen e2, quick queen e2, and castle queenside. Another plan I could adopt here is knight d8 and try to bring this knight to f7. That seems kind of passive, though. Let's go d4. All things considered, I think this is a nice aggressive way to handle the position. So getting ready to sink that knight in on d5. And still keeping open the option of castling queenside as well. We haven't abandoned that at all. Knight bishop h3, knight d5, bishop d2 was the line we were looking at. And then maybe it's worth it to throw in bishop e7 there. In fact, yeah, that could be a good move because it controls g5. I think I'll probably do that. If knight e4 in this position, I can still go to d5 with my knight, or even adjust my path and go to f5. I'll probably play to d5, though, if he does that. Our dark square bishop is helpful in controlling d6 and also defending the pawn on c5. I predict he's going to drift into time pressure soon. He's already at 6.5 minutes. And his last several moves have almost been like containment moves. I mean, after f5. Problem is, like, staking out all that kingside space, it costs time. I mean, he would love to get his king to safety, but he hasn't had the time yet. And also, he has to deal with all the weaknesses that are left behind from pushing those pawns. So you can see, like, I have access to a bevy of squares, especially f5 and d5. So I'm not sure that g4 was truly the best move in that position, move 6. He might want to have settled for a modest move like g3. So every second that ticks by for him encourages me to make quicker and more confident decisions coming up, because I know that time pressure will be looming for him. Not to say that I haven't done this too, but I think with this many pieces on board, I mean, we've only exchanged, what, 2 pairs of pawns? That's it? Nothing else has been traded. There's a long way to go in this game, and he's already about to be under 5 minutes. I gotta watch my time too, so it's not a completely one-way street on the clock. But what's nice in these situations is when you're operating with a safe king. When you're operating with a safe king in time duress, it's such a load off your mind. Whereas I know he will be concerned about having his king in the center. That's why maybe he should think about trying to get it to safety ASAP. Like queen d2 is probably not a bad option right now. I think he's either going to play queen d2 or bishop h3. Or queen e2. He might play queen e2. I actually think he'll play queen e2. That's my guess. I'm not going to guess multiple moves and act like I'm a mind reader or something when he plays one of them. So I'm going with queen e2. I've predicted most of his moves over the last few moves, so see if I can keep up this streak. Rook h4. Okay, not a move I expected at all. I don't know if I like his rook there, because when I move this knight and then play bishop e7, he's going to have to move it again. Is he really going to put the rook on g4? Because that's pretty audacious. Okay, well, let's do this. Well, okay. So if knight d5, is he going to play bishop g5? Is that the idea? Hoping for bishop e7, knight e4? Something along those lines? Yeah, at the very least, after knight d5, bishop here, I can always sink my knight in on e3. Wouldn't want to have to do that, though. Maybe just castle first. Yeah, maybe castle first. Let's do that. Normally, I might think a little bit longer on this, but again, I want to play quickly. Maybe bishop h3 is coming now. Bishop h3, knight d5. If knight g5, I can just play rook e8. Defend this weak point. No harm, no foul. Also, if knight g5, I can chop on f4 too if I want. Although that's riskier, because then the rook might get access to f7. So probably on knight g5, I'll just play rook e8. Keep it simple. Queen g4 can be played, but that's not fearsome because I can take on f4 and deflect his queen if needed. I can also probably sidestep like king b8. So he's made some nice moves on the king side. And it seems like he's applying pressure, but I too have been able to make progress in the position, getting my knight to d5, getting castled. I'm ready to get my king out of the way if I really want. And also I have this attack on the bishop. If the bishop leaves the f4 square, the jury's out on whether knight takes e5 is any good. So he does this move. All right, so let's think about knight takes f4, queen takes f4. And then maybe just bishop e7. What are the ramifications of that? Probably he'll put a knight on e4 then, so like knight 3 to e4. Ah, no, never mind. Okay. I have to be careful. If take, bishop e7, I blunder to bishop takes e6. So scratch that idea for now. Maybe just king b8. Probably castle. I like the fact that I could play knight c3 somewhere down the line, maybe. King b8, knight takes e6. I thought I was winning material there, but perhaps not. Yeah, I guess not. King b8, knight takes e6. If rook takes, queen takes, the rook is defending f4, so I'm not winning material in that case. What other options do I have here? Rook h6 to defend e6. Could always play knight c7, but that's a passive move. That would be a last resort move. I mean, king b8 is the move I want to play. Doesn't appear to work, though, does it? King b8, knight takes e6. Let's say knight takes f4. Well, then I can swap queens and then take on e5. How's that looking? King b8, knight takes e6, knight takes f4. Queen takes f4, then rook takes e6 is good for me. So knight takes f4 will be played instead. We trade on g4. Let's say he takes with the bishop. I take e5. Huh. Okay, let's do that. It's also kind of a dare, too. I mean, knight takes e6 looks dangerous. So I'm kind of wondering if he even psychologically wants to play that move. This is kind of walking into potential pins. Yeah, he just castles instead. Not surprising entirely. It's probably a good practical decision by him. I really want to play knight c3. Pawn takes, and I'm so close to just like mating him a lot of the time. Maybe bishop c8. Just defend that weak point. Knight c3, pawn takes, b takes. Problem is I'm several tempos away from being able to threaten anything really good. Although am I? I mean, knight b4 is coming too. We have to bear that in mind. Knight c3 looks so fun. Okay, let's have some fun. And if I lose, I can just, you know, play it off as a sacrifice gone wrong. It has some merit, though. It has a lot of merit, this idea. B takes c3, b takes c3. If knight takes e6, just knight b4. And already I'm threatening knight takes a2 and also just like queen infiltrations. What's the famous saying? Out of the frying pan into the fire? It's kind of what it's like for him. His king was unsafe in the center, but here it's also going to be unsafe. Let's play this quickly. And he can stop queen d5 or knight b4, but he can't stop both of them. And if a3 here, stopping knight b4, I mean, I might just play it anyways. a3, knight b4, a takes b4, queen a4. He could move his rook. So like, let's say like rook e1, trying to play king d1 and then bail towards the center. But like say rook e1, knight b4, king d1, queen a4. I'm threatening c2 and I'm also hitting the d pawn. Guess he has queen e2 maybe in that position. But look at his time. Now he has to suddenly think about defensive moves. So sometimes these sacrifices that you're not entirely sure of the ramifications can be very effective when your opponent's low on time. because whenever you're low on time, your natural instinct is to attack. Yeah, he's doing something pretty radical. He's giving his queen in hopes of defending. Clearly, we're going to take that. Start getting our queen over. Do I want to go to d8? And does it matter? Okay, I'll just play this because it looks trickier. Kind of eyeing his rook here. If knight f7, I can take on h4. So I predict he'll move this bishop back, but if he moves the bishop back, then queen a5. I think he's going to try something like rook over and king d1. I'm actually up 1 point to material right now. Kind of funny. Okay, yeah, we got him to move his rook. So now queen a5. How are you going to deal with that? I think he's going to move his king. Okay, let's see what you got. Or not move his king, move his rook, I mean. Like rook e1. Almost has to. King b1 technically might be possible. Idea queen a3, bishop c1, but it looks really risky. Okay, so now check king d1. He might be defending. Bishop c8 could be useful. Just as a means to, like, x-ray his rook. Also maybe get c4 going. Yeah, let's try bishop c8. I don't think my light square bishop is too helpful anymore. There's also knight a2, or knight b4, I mean. Attacking a2 and c4, c2. Sorry, I keep messing up the coordinates. All right, let's do this, though. Time is ticking for both of us. If take on c8, I can even play queen takes a2 right away. Let's do that. Threatening mate. He's got to run with his king. Yeah, this is just getting mated.
Checkmate.
Okay, so the time worked to our advantage to a large degree down the home stretch of this game. But I'll be curious to see if knight c3 on move 20 was sound or not. We'll go back and take a look at it. So Sicilian, and he plays knight c3, so we play a6. This is a good idea for a con player. Idea is just to play b5 and quickly get the bishop on the long diagonal. He played knight f3, and then bishop b7. So already he's faced with the threat of b4. And then after the knight moves, his pawn on e4 could be hanging. So he defends. And I could play b4 right away, but e6 is also good, just keeping it open and preparing d5 as well. g6 would be an alternative treatment, preparing to do a double fianchetto. So e6, and he plays g4. Yeah, compared to that game with Kodrich that I mentioned, and if you're curious and you don't watch my Blitz videos, you might want to go take a look at that one for comparison. But compared to that game, I think this one just costs him too much time. I immediately get to hit his knight, and then strike in the center. And I fear he's making too many pawn moves and giving me good counterplay as a result. I doubt the computer is going to like h5, but let's see. Says the position's about equal. It prefers development, knight e7. Maybe we won't say that h5 is a bad move necessarily. Okay. Yeah, thinks it's all right. See, the computer wants to play g5, and that's the move that I said would be a strategic inaccuracy for white. Because after something like g6, this wing is completely shut down, and he has more space on this side of the board, so it doesn't really make sense for him to close the position. He can't use that space anymore. When you have space on the side of the board, you're normally looking for a breakthrough of some kind, usually a pawn breakthrough. So the computer is probably overestimating the impact of g5. So he took. Now it says taking is good. I took knight g3, rook back to h8, f5. And it's always good to examine the extreme scenarios. You know, like this is the line that I looked at in my initial analysis when deciding whether to play h5, because it represents like the most extreme variation if he just wants to outright attack me. So I played for defensive e6, kind of just holding this pawn here, but The engine says go ahead and just take it. Let's say knight takes, and then queen d7, hitting the knight. It looks messier. I mean, my positional instincts don't like this because I'm giving up kind of a key foothold pawn that defends d5, but I could see the value of it. I mean, I gained some time. I attack his knight, force his knight back. But a knight c6 is probably okay as well. He plays bishop f4, queen d7. Computer also thinks this is fine. I believe I looked at that briefly. I think I rejected it because of something like this. Okay, I can just do this and ignore the attack on e6, huh? Because after queen c8, both of these pieces are attacked. That's a good point. And if knight takes f8, I assume I can just take here and this knight is trapped. Yeah. And if queen g4, trying to defend both pieces, then I have knight takes f4. And knight takes would drop the queen, and queen takes f4 would drop the knight. That's an important detail I didn't appreciate at the time. Okay, so in that case, yeah, I like knight ge7, attacking f5. But I played queen d7, preparing the castle on the queen side. He took on e6, I took back. h4. Looks like he played this stage all right. Got the pawn up to h5. Computer's actually preferring white by quite a bit now. I guess the evaluation is still fluctuating. But I felt like d4 was almost necessary because I want to make room for my knight to come to d5. It's important. Otherwise, I might be just stuck with a passive defense of e6. So I need to look for squares for my pieces. So d4, rook h4 seemed extravagant. He spent a lot of time on this move, burned almost half his time deciding whether to play rook h4. It's just not important enough a decision yet to burn that amount of time. I think I was predicting like queen e2, preparing castling queenside, or maybe just bishop h3 right away. Both of those moves look better than what he did. Yeah, and I was going to play knight d5 against either move. So rook h4, I castled. Why didn't I like knight d5? What was the issue? Oh, yeah, bishop g5. I thought he might do this to try to stop me from castling. And then if bishop e7, then knight e4. But maybe there's just some direct problem with this. Here, if knight f takes, e5 is weak. Also, I can jump into e3. That's a good point. Like, I gain e3. He might gain control of d6, but probably just take that pawn. And if he has to stick with the e knight, then he's diverted from attacking these squares. So queen e7. And if knight e4, take here. Okay. And this knight is overloaded, trying to defend the rook and the pawn that was just on e5. So there's a specific tactical reason why it's okay to play knight d5. And then after bishop here, just play bishop e7. Okay. I just played the safer move, ensuring that I can castle and that bishop g5 won't cut across my plans. So castle, and he went bishop h3. I played knight d5. Knight g5. Went rook e8. The computer prefers rook h6. I think I mentioned that possibility of being able to defend laterally. I felt like I didn't want to play that move unless I had to. I thought rook e8 was just as good, or better, even. I didn't really see what my rook would be doing on the d file. Whereas the rook on h6, to me, it looks like it might run into some discoveries, but I guess it's the case that I always have knight takes f4 as a bailout if needed, if he moves this knight. So, or if knight takes e6, of course, we just take right away. And we're going to get 2 minors for the rook. This is awesome for black. So rook e8, he played queen g4. And I did not take on f4. I played king c8. And if he took here, I can do this, huh? And then if knight takes, queen takes, followed by take on e5. Yeah, that was the line I looked at. Let's say bishop takes, knight takes. This does look pretty awesome. His rook, or my rook, is lined up with his king, and I'm attacking his bishop as well. If he were to castle out of this, g5 is kind of a nifty move. But I was thinking just take on g4 and then play bishop f3, skewer the 2 rooks. It's probably also very good. But g5, I suppose, is a move I can even play right here. That's a great fork. Because he can't take en passant due to rook takes h4. And if he jumps into g6, I just take h4, he takes h8. I can just take here. Totally winning for black. So he castled instead. And now here's the moment of truth. I played this knight c3 move. If anything, this is going to burn a lot of time for him trying to find the best defense. It's a scary looking move. And hey, if the engine, after thinking about it for 10 seconds, says black's better, that's a good practical sacrifice in my opinion, even if it doesn't work out for some convoluted reason. It just looked really good to get this oppressing pawn on c3. I'm actually pretty surprised he took the knight. I thought he would do something else. This just looks scary. I mean, it's true that I needed a couple tempos in order to get in range of his king, but like all his pieces are massed in this area of the board, and his king has no protection. The scant protection that like the b pawn was giving him has just been destroyed, and I'm taking away a key flight square on d2 as well. So the engine thinks this is almost just winning for black. It's pretty cool. I thought he would do something like move the rook or maybe sacrifice the exchange, like give me a choice of taking on d1 or a2. But even in that case, it looks pretty good. So he took, I took, and he sacrificed his queen. Yeah, you can understand his motivation. Let's just see how it would go like if he went like rook e1, knight b4, and then king here. I thought he might do that to bail out. Just make sure that he always has this. Looks like this queen a4 move, though, is pretty strong. Attacking c2. What happens if queen e2? c4. That's a nice move. Idea of that is that I'm threatening to take, and this pin is giving him issues. And if he takes, I get to play d3 anyways. Again, because the c-pawn's pinned. And if the c-pawn goes, so goes this entire position. Yeah, queen takes d3 is the best move according to the computer. What happens if like queen f2? Because then if takes, he could like maybe slip away. But just knight takes c2 is good. Okay. Yeah, these two pawns on the third rank completely restrict his king, and I'm threatening all sorts of discoveries with this knight. And my queen will be attacking. Maybe my bishop even comes in for good measure. It's over. So he sacrifices queen in a desperate bid to defend, but and this was just a little thing. I could play queen c7 or queen d8. In both cases, I'm looking to come to a5. But queen d8 might be even better because then I'm eyeing that rook on h4 too, kind of pinning his knight. Gives him one more thing to think about. It's awesome to give your opponent stuff to think about when they're in time pressure. Give them lots of options. Don't let them play the force move all the time. So rook g4, queen a5. He went rook e1. Okay, looks like I played it pretty accurate. Bishop c8. Yeah, not letting his bishop come back to b3 to like anchor these two weak points, and taking advantage of his rook g4 move a couple moves ago. So he took, I get to take on a2, threatening mate, and he just didn't respond to that. And he played bishop e6
Checkmate.
and mated him. But even in the case of king d1, it's real rough. Yeah, I don't even have to take back right away either. I could play knight b4, another in-between move. Let's say he plays this. Let's looking at something like this and then knight a2. And he's pinned on c1. Just losing. Has to give up the bishop, and yeah, devastation after that. I have these pieces that are in reserve too. I haven't even had to call them up yet. So yeah, bishop e6 and checkmate. Okay, yeah, that was a lot of fun, that game. Key takeaways from this one. Well, I think White's queenside or kingside expansion was optimistic under the circumstances. Also, he spent too long on like non-critical decisions. I mean, that's the effect of having the space advantage early on and then getting undermined. Like these moves I was making, especially h5, move number 8, that was an undermining move, and he had to burn a lot of time figuring out how to defend his like far-flung pawn empire and how to manage the squares left behind. I think rook h4 was a pretty big mistake too, and it came after like almost 4 minutes of thought. He should have just played in a more straightforward manner, like queen e2 or bishop h3. Rook h4 looks like he's overthinking it. I think he was worried that his bishop would be like blocking his rook, so he wanted to get that up there first, but he just probably doesn't have time. And the other thing about this game is not being afraid to play a move that like looks speculative, but you know will put your opponent under a lot of pressure. That's a great strategy when your opponent's in time pressure. It has to be the right type of sacrifice. Like knight c3 is a good sacrifice, even if the computer thinks like knight e3 is better for some reason, because this gives him so many options, and the position is just downright scary after b takes c3. Black is always going to count on the initiative as compensation, and it's much harder to defend than to attack when you're in time pressure. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this game. I'll be back tomorrow with another standard video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.